Good evening, everybody. Good evening. And I want to thank you for coming on this lovely spring night to the beautiful General Society Library. This place is a haven in Midtown Manhattan, and we all love Midtown Manhattan because it's the heart and soul of the world. And right now we should have a little moment of silence for all our past important women in our lives. What's happening around the world is not the best. And my homeland of Ukraine is fighting for its life. Turkey had a disaster that we've never seen. And we're fighting to bring Midtown Manhattan back to the global capital jewel it was. And we're going to do an event here April 4th. You're all invited to that too. But today is about women. And as I like to say, where would I be without women? My mother passed a little while ago, but she raised two fine boys, and she got to see her grandchildren. And we have a great program here. I can't thank my staff enough, who actually are all women here. Let's Jordan, Helene, and Nat, let's put our hands together for our executive director. I heard she's going to get a promotion, Terry, but we'll talk about that in December. And Barbara and Nancy, and of course our chairman, Terry Holliday. You'll hear more about him later. But at this point in time, I need to bring up my co-host, Duvie Honig. Actually, he's going to do a short presentation. What I want to do now is I want to bring up our guest MC. She's a legendary news reporter, and she's still active. Every time I bring her to the podium, it's like watching the old Chet Huntley and Brinkley, and she has some timely news of the day. Not to mention, she is a woman. So I thought it'd be very timely for her to give a few remarks and an overview of our program. If you don't have a copy, we can hand them out. Jane Tillman Irving.
Thank you, Mark. It isn't often that I'm introduced and described as legendary, but oh, do I love it. My name is Jane Tillman Irving. I am a retired news reporter from WCBS Radio who is now turning off her phone and asking all of you to do the same. Thank you very much. And I've done a lot of news reporting in my life. I'm the immediate past president also of the New York Press Club. And so you can take the girl out of the newsroom, but you can't take the newsroom out of the girl. So as Mark was talking about bringing Manhattan back, I heard on WINS, which is now owned by the same company as WCBS, we're no longer rivals, we're cousins or something, siblings, that Manhattan enjoyed an increase in population after the pandemic. So Manhattan is roaring back. We're going to honor someone from Wicked. Broadway is roaring back. Phantom of the Opera did close, but Wicked has been on Broadway for almost 20 years. Some Like It Hot, an oldie but goodie reworked, apparently can't get tickets, apparently to wonderful reviews. Broadway's roaring back. I saw New York One today that the new version, the stage version of New York, New York, which gave us that wonderful anthem, that Liza Minnelli, Robert De Niro movie is being reworked with John Kander. Fred Ebb has died, his partner in creativity, but with John Kander and Lin-Manuel Miranda. He of Hamilton fame, what could be better than that? So, we have a lot to celebrate, including all of these wonderful women who are talented, who are leaders, who are so skilled and so talented and have so much to offer. We women have done so much for all of us, but in particular, I was thinking about Women's History Month because it started in the same way that Black History Month started as Negro History Week early in the 20th century. Women's History Month started in the early 80s as Women's History Week. And now we have a whole month. And actually we have a whole year. Because after all, I remember hearing a woman talk to a man about history, and he said, "I've never heard of such a thing as men's history." And she countered very, very coolly, "Oh, you've never studied history?" Because as we know, history is usually the history of men. And behind them, look at the civil rights movement, look at the peace movement, look at any movement. There were women involved, but you don't know their names. Or they are called mothers of the revolution, or mothers of the movement, or sisters who made coffee and did all those other things in the background when they were out there doing the essential work and the brain work too. Never let us forget that. It's not just men make history, women make tea, women make coffee. It's women do the thinking and come up with the ideas, even though quite often women don't get the credit for it. So, we are giving credit tonight. We have many women that we are honoring, and so I am going to turn it back over to Mark Jaffe of the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce, of which I am not a member, but this is the second time I've done this. And I think the second time I was honored once, I was delighted to be honored by the Chamber of Commerce for Black History Month last year, and then invited to speak again this year. So, shouldn't that be an honorary something? In any case, we have a program to do, and then we all have to network, because the purpose of this, in addition to honoring all of the talented women here and appreciating all of the women in the room, is to get the two groups together so that everybody can get to know everyone else and all of the important work that is being done. Welcome. Thank you all.
So you can see why I asked her to be our guest MC, right? By the way, can we have a vote on that honorary membership? All in favor, raise your hands. Good. Chairman, we had a quorum. Honorary member, we got more work for you to do now. Listen, I'm going to bring up my co-host now, Dubie Honig, and he's a mensch. He's a good friend. He's trying to make me a better human being, and that's a difficult job, right, Dubie? But Dubie has a special award because these are trying times. I want to congratulate him on being at the historic Jewish Alliance for the Safety of our tri-state area yesterday. Very important moment in time. And it's happening to too many groups. There are too many targets out there, whether you're just, as Jane just said, a woman, just 50 years ago was a target. But I think we're getting better, right, ladies? We're getting there. We're getting almost there. Maybe a little more economic parity out here, but some of the banking women in this room, I don't know. We'll hear from them later. So, Dubie, come on up and tell us a little bit about what the Congresswoman is doing. The Congresswoman couldn't be here because, as you know, there's a lot going on in the world. Congress funds our country and therefore the world, and they had a late vote, and Amtrak complaints couldn't get here for 6 o'clock. Dubie.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you. It's an honor to work together with Mark and Helene and the Greater New York Chamber. We partner on many events throughout the years, different levels. We have one goal: to unite people through commerce. It's an honor to be here tonight and recognize women who are specifically, in many ways, are unrecognized properly for contributions they give in a much broader ways than just men contribute. They run households, and at the same time they take responsibilities to climb the ladder. Tonight, I'm going to start with the Congresswoman Grace Meng, who we were recognizing her for just recently. There's a lot of anti-Semitism going on, and last week in the headlines of the news in Queens alone, the headline stated she would do graffiti, anti-Semitic graffiti in 3 places in Queens, and she took action to denounce it. She just joined the bill, a bipartisan bill, to sign on to ask for more funds for the envoy of anti-Semitism in Washington. That bill was introduced by Chris Smith, who's a close friend of ours, Congressman Chris Smith, who we recognized last year with our Morris Katz Award. And they're working together side by side on a bipartisan level to ask for more funding to fight anti-Semitism. We find her leadership, whether it's Jewish, whether it's Asian, whether it's African American, or whether it's minorities, whether, whichever area it is, they're all working together and putting differences aside from policy and from partisanship to be able to fight hate and anti-Semitism. And that's what we stand here tonight, all of us together to do. Mark, I couldn't have a prouder partner as Mark. We have all these internal conversations with the political things going on, and we work side by side to bring people together and be able to overcome division and use Congress to unite. And as our other few honorees that we recognize tonight will point out those specific positions as well. I want to congratulate all the honorees here tonight. We have from education, from banking, from theater, from Supreme Court Justice, Ruchi Fryer, who came special. I don't know if you know what I mean, before Passover to take off. It's a big thing that she came here to make that statement. I want to thank you for that.
So we're gonna get this beautiful award to the offices of Congresswoman Grace Meng, who is a true leader at the right time to fight hate. And we have to fight hate at all levels. And Doobie, thank you for your leadership. We'll be back. It's my privilege to introduce you to the next honoree, Joan McDonald. She came all the way down from Westchester. I do that every day. I gave her a little tip. I said, take the Metro North. It's a short 6-minute walk from track to office. And her and Emily Saltzman, her companion for the night, another Westchester hotshot that we've had the privilege to work with for years, came down with her. So we know you're going to get home safe, and the Metro North is 99% on time. Speaking of the Metro North, I know you had some work in transportation. Not only in New York, I think you did some work in Connecticut and a couple of other states. She was pretty good at that, so she does everything in public policy. Right now, I would say that Joan McDonald runs Westchester County. There's an elected gentleman, good friend of mine, a lot of people know his name, George Latimer. But then there's the lady behind the elected official that makes sure all 4,500 people are doing their jobs. All $2 billion is spent well. Programming when it's needed on an emergency basis, whether it's COVID or a fire or a bus line that's not working. Joan McDonald has the team, mobilizes it, and gets the job done. And I must say, in Westchester, they built a strong bipartisan coalition for getting things done for all the residents and all the taxpayers. So it's my privilege to introduce you to our next honoree, Joan McDonald, Director of Operations for Westchester County.
Thank you so much, Mark and Helena. It is indeed an honor and a privilege. I truly appreciate coming into the city and receiving this award. And I'm always so moved when I come to events like this, because it really reminds me, as you both said, Midtown Manhattan is back, Manhattan is back, the city is back, the state is back. We all went through some real challenges with COVID and some of the other things. I have a 35-plus year career in government. Started out working in Albany for the New York State Assembly, then made my way into the transportation arena, Metro North and City DOT and State DOT, as you mentioned, Mark, and did economic development in Connecticut. And for the last 5.5 years, I'm working in Westchester County for the county executive and a great group of people. And I'm always struck that in this government world that we work in, that it's 2 degrees of separation. And it's great to see some of my New York State DOT team here, Phil, Bruce, Diane, Lisa Daglian from PCAC, we met in the city, Laura Imperiale from the city, we work together. It's the 2 degrees of separation. And Emily Saltzman, who is Deputy Director of Operations, while I'm the Director of Operations, I can't say enough how we sometimes call ourselves Thelma and Louise, but how we work together and really have a good synchronicity. It was the same rhythm I had with Phil Lang when he was my first deputy commissioner, and when I was the commissioner. And in government, it's the people. It is working with the people for the people, and making sure that every day you are doing things to improve people's lives, whether it's transportation, whether it's health, whether it is water, sewer, whether it is the criminal justice system and doing things fairly. It's all important, and I stand here on the backs of others, and I'm glad to support other women along the way, and I hope that I can continue to do that for the remainder of my career, wherever it may lead me. I'm honored and privileged to be standing with these other honorees, and thank you so much.
Joe McDonald for exemplary public service. Thank you. I'd like to call up Greg Kursap. He is our co-chair of our Chamber Political Action Committee. Greg started as a young man. He's still a young man, who's kidding, right? As a young man in the Chamber, and he thanks us every Friday night in his prayers. And he's doing very well. And so is the Chamber Political Action Committee. But Greg has a special award to give out. As we know, New York's coming back. By the way, we were at a symposium yesterday. The #1 indicator of that are Broadway ticket sales are coming back, tourism's coming back, restaurants are back, and now we're going to have a symposium April 4th on how do we get more people back? What's the right balance of work at home, work in the office? But enough of that. Let's hear a little bit about this wicked award.
Thank you, Mark. So as Mark mentioned, I got my start actually in this very building. I started here just making phone calls, working. Was lucky enough to move into an assistant political director role. And I now serve as the chief of staff in the New York State Assembly. And so I really owe a lot to this building, to Helena, to Mark, and to my mom, who has served the Broadway community for, what, almost 50 years now? 40 years. 40 years. Between her and my father, who is in the back room, a shout out as well, between them, of the 10 longest running Broadway shows, they have worked on 7 of them.
Wow.
So incredible, an absolutely incredible career. So sincerely, I mean, my mom has been my backbone, my rock, and they always say behind every great man is a greater woman, and in that case, sincerely would be 3 women for me. My wonderful mother, my girlfriend April, and Helena Nat, my second mother, sincerely. And so it's an absolute honor to be able to present this. So enough about me. I want to turn it over to my mother, who has been a trailblazer on Broadway, was the first production stage manager on the original Les Mis, traveled the country with Cats, got her start at the Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera, where she met my father, could not stand him. And he was able to win her heart, and so it has been a magical journey. She has now, for the last, 15 years, worked at Wicked. And it has been an honor to be able to present this, to be here today, and to see the comeback of Broadway as well. Working in politics, it has been incredible to see this community come back more resilient than ever, and to continue to see everyone thrive. And so it's my absolute honor to be able to present this. And I left it in my car, but I also have a proclamation from the State Assembly for you, congratulating you for your years of service. And so, here, come on up, Mom. I know, you're right, Mary Beth Abel. You're right, I kept saying Mom, and I never said Mary Beth. And it's hard to break a habit sometimes.
Thanks. Well, I must say what an honor it is, because as a woman, when I came into this career, I'm a stage manager. I was only one of a handful, and would consistently fight my way through all-male crews, all-male everything. But I have the fortune of having 4 older brothers, and I really believe that was sort of the reason that I was able to handle this so well. I feel so honored to be here for a number of reasons. Of course, because of my son and the beauty that Mark and Helena have brought to him and his career. We can't thank you enough for that. I'm also quite honored because rarely do women get honored in a situation like this, but also rarely do backstage people get honored in a manner like this. And, excuse me, Gregory practically gave my resume. I started out, my husband and I natives of Pittsburgh, started out $35 a week doing an apprenticeship, and ended up on Broadway. And what I try to strive for in this is developing young stage managers and training them on how to do what they do. And with that, I've been very fortunate to have internship programs through through the work that I do on Broadway. And a number of those interns over the years have become more and more women. And we now have a lot more women as stage managers and as stage hands on Broadway currently now. Just heading into what we've been talking about with the economic factors. We didn't think we were going to come back. It was one of the scariest times for Broadway and for actors, stage managers, crew. We were out of work for 18 months. And when we came back, it was really frightening because we had no clue as to what was going to happen. Were people going to come? How was this going to happen? And the most incredible thing to me has been we have been selling more tickets than we did before the pandemic. So, and the thing is, I just want to say one more thing and then I'll get off this, but I'm very humbled being among this group of people because they are really advocating and working for education, for social politics, all of these things. And I was sitting here looking at them and I was thinking to myself, wow, what a difference they make and what an incredible career to have. And then I stepped out a second and I thought to myself, you know what? We provide entertainment, and there's nothing better than that, whether you're happy, sad, whether the economy is good or bad, there's somebody going to entertain you. And so I'm humbled to be one of those people, and I thank you so much for this award.
Let's get a photo.
Can you all hear me? Yes. So I wanted to mention something about Jane Tillman Irving's bio that just came to mind. Speaking of back of the house. Speaking of back of the house, the Inner Circle helps with the music, of live theater. And Jane,
Yes.
you're a remarkable lady.
Thank you. The Inner Circle is an organization of political reporters that gives a charity show every year with a response from the mayor. It's a lot of fun. We don't have it. And people are welcome to buy tickets. InnerCircleShow.com. Thank you.
I know what's going through everyone's minds over here, but about trying to get free Broadway tickets. But I guess you can line up later. And we all think alike. At this moment, I would like to be able to call upon Judge Rufi Fryer, acting New York State Supreme Court Justice, an Orthodox Jewish woman, an ultra-Orthodox Jewish woman who reached heights in New York City that no other woman has reached before. A mother, a grandmother, a wife, and at the same time is able to balance and keep her values as we're proud to call ourselves the Orthodox Jewish Chamber of Commerce. When we started 15 years ago, I had many Jews telling me, just say Jewish Chamber of Commerce. You'll have all the other Jews being part. Why are you excluding people? I said, I'm not excluding, I'm including. It's very important to recognize the pride the Orthodox community has by using our strength as a united community to be able to advance commerce and influence others for the better, and that's what Rufi achieved and has done. And on a side note, Rufi Fryer as well, she runs an all-women volunteer ambulance organization. We're full women volunteers. They come with ambulances, you give them a call, tons of women under her, running, dropping everything day and night to help other people in need, saving lives daily. So that's a whole women organization she runs, and I want to give a shout out for that. At this point, I would present her with the award. I'm just going to go grab it from over there.
Can you all hear me? Yes. Can you see me? That's usually the harder question. I was once invited to speak at a synagogue, and they asked me to stand up on the step ladder that the bar mitzvah boys, so you can't really stand up. Okay, all kidding aside. First of all, thank you all for being here, and Vivi and Mark, thank you for the honor. It's really an honor for me to be here. I've never been to this building before. I've been to the New York City Bar Association down the block. I've been there, haven't been here. And pleasure to be with all of you incredibly talented women. It is the week before Passover, and my house is totally chaotic. I wake up, I go to sleep every night at 2 o'clock in the morning because I'm cooking. I'm the mother of 6 children. I am from the Hasidic community. I have 3 boys and 3 girls, just like the Brady Bunch, but one husband. And they are all married, thank God. My oldest grandchild is 13 years old. We don't count grandchildren, but if you figure out how old I am by the time I'm finished, that's perfectly fine. So, yeah, they're all married. So aside from being a mother and a grandmother, which is my first priority, I also am an acting State Supreme Court Justice, and I am running for the position this August so that the acting will come out of the title. And I also am a volunteer paramedic. And I run the first all-women's volunteer EMS agency, and we won our license to have an ambulance 2 years ago. So when I'm not on the bench, I'm driving the bus. I will say that while it's really important to be independent as women, and my mother is a very strong guiding force, without the men of our lives, we can't really be successful. And my husband isn't here tonight because he's home taking care of the kitchen while I'm here.
Somebody has
But my journey really is just a journey of naysayers every step of the way. I am the grandchild of Holocaust survivors, and I was raised with incredibly confident parents who raised us to believe that we could accomplish anything. My grandfather, had he been alive, they would have been very, very proud. He survived the Siberian labor camp, and my grandmother survived Auschwitz. My father survived the war by being hidden in a convent in Antwerp. So I was raised with very patriotic parents and grandparents, and I was taught that you could be Hasidic, observe all the tradition, and still be successful. But many other people didn't believe that. They thought that it's mutually exclusive. Either you're devoutly Hasidic, or you could become a professional. And my journey was a journey of proving just to myself, why can't I have both? I never thought I'd be invited to speak about my journey. I never thought it would be something that anybody would care about. But for me, what was so important is that we're all different, we're all unique, but we all have our values. And very often, people will tell us, oh, you have to compromise your values to be successful. And my journey is here just to prove to everybody that you can stick to your values, whatever they may be, without compromising them and still be successful. So that was my journey, that was my story. Part of my story is in a documentary film, 93 Queen, because when I started the ambulance service, I got publicity as being a radical feminist, and I had to explain that I'm not a radical feminist. And they said, oh, she's doing this ambulance service because it's all about women's rights. And I was doing it because of women's modesty. We can have our modesty, we can have our own ambulance service. And I said, it's not about women's rights. It happens to be that most of the time, women are right, especially when it comes to our healthcare. So we can do so much. Us women, we can become volunteer paramedics, we could become judges, we could become so much without ever compromising our values. For me, what was so important was to be a mother, to raise a large family, and not to have my grandchildren. And yeah, I think that if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer questions, but the problem with me is that once I start speaking, I just can never stop because I have so many stories to share. But I want to share the spotlight with these other wonderful honorees, so I will say thank you, David, for inviting me. Thank you, Mark. And Mark already got to meet me in the first minute. I said, I'm sorry, I can't shake your hand.
Come on over, Grandma.
Where's our photographer? Salt! Salt, man. Second. I want to get the mayor's office to the mayor's office.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. And speaking of patriots, patriotic, an important word, I want to call up Colonel Terry Holliday, retired U.S. Air Force, my chairman. He got a promotion this year. He used to be the chairman of the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee. Now he's the chairman of the whole Greater New York Chamber of Commerce. After hearing what we speak, I'll have to just say mazel tov for that. And please introduce our next distinguished honoree.
Okay. Thanks, Warren. I can call you Mitch. Okay. Listen, I wear another hat here, too. I used to be the Commissioner of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs under Mayor Bloomberg, who was a great influence in my life. But I wear another hat. I'm the Secretary of the General Society of Mechanics and Tradesmen. That's this building. So the director is not here. She left for a wedding in Florida. But if you take a look around, there's this beautiful skylight that we have here, but you can't see it. Okay, if you can take a look with all of the scaffolding, it's under repair and it should be finished by about September or October. We're the second oldest lending library in New York City. We go all the way back I think we go back to Hamilton, but I'm not sure about that. But Andrew Carnegie signed his name in the same book that mine was in, and I spilled ink over his name. No, but that was a lot. So if you get a chance, and as you wander through Manhattan, mid-Manhattan, sometimes come on in, particularly after the scaffolding is gone. You may see this venue in some movies. It was in the Post. Some of it was in the Post. I think we were in the Brooklyn precinct, East Side New York, or East New York. I think that's coming up. It was on The Affair. They had a book signing here and everything else. So it was like really, really nice. But if you do come back here, I'm really pleased to serve as Mark's chairman of the board for this year and next year, and then I go back to being retired. But Mark is doing a lot of really good things, and when we got into the presidential race, the primary, he had a number of Zoom conferences where we had a number of people that we had a chance to meet, and also with the mayor's race, where we got a chance to listen to what they had to say. I think it was about 4 candidates, if I'm not mistaken, but they were individuals that I might not have given a lot of thought to, but afterwards I did. That was it. But in any event, off to the matter of business. From Adelphi University, Cassandra Cass Alvarez. She's here with her mom and her husband. Can we raise our hand? Okay, so we're here with us today. Cass, I've worked with Cass for about 3 or 4 years, but that was in COVID time. I came back as an independent consultant with the Department of Veteran Services. Cass was assistant commissioner? She was an associate commissioner, and she had to deal with me as an independent consultant. But Cass today is the chief of staff of the Department of Veteran Services. She works for Commissioner James Hendon. Cass is the one who makes certain that all the parts of the Department of Veteran Services talk to one another, including that newly married fellow with the haircut, Jason Lochran. I forget his title. He had 2 titles over the last 3 weeks, right? But she makes everything happen the way a chief of staff is supposed to do it. I'm sort of a difficult person to deal with because, because I was a former commissioner, and I was a colonel, and a lot of people really don't know how to talk to me, So when they want to tell me, get out of here, you're just making noise, like right now, she did that, all right? So let me give you Cass. She's a true Panther. She is a graduate of Adelphi University in Bay Ridge. And where are you, Bay Ridge?
Oh no, I live in Marine Park.
Marine Park, excuse me. Cassandra.
Thank you, everybody. So I'm Cassandra Alvarez. I go by Cass, as Terry lovingly calls me, and I'm the Chief of Staff at the New York City Department of Veteran Services. If you don't know about us, check us out at nyc.gov/vets to learn about all of the amazing work that we do. So I prepared a few remarks because I didn't want to forget anybody, because there's a lot of people and a lot of reasons why I'm here tonight. So first, I just want to say that it's really an honor to be recognized alongside a group of such distinguished women. So it's really an honor to sit beside you all. I started my career in city government 7 years ago, and it's been an honor of a lifetime to serve the great city of New York. I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I'm a 3rd generation Brooklynite, which I'm very, very proud of. Give it up for Brooklyn. And it's my fellow New Yorkers who I get to help every day that give me the drive to rise every morning. And then especially the veterans who I serve, including my grandfather, who was a Korean War vet. There really is no greater privilege than working for the people who protect our beautiful country and make sure that our freedom is safe. So the only reason why I'm receiving this award, though, is because of other great women who have supported me on my professional journey along the way. So the first one being my mom, Stephanie, who's over there. And she's here with us tonight. Both of my parents worked so hard to ensure that their children were the first ones in our family to go to college. So thank you, Mom, for that. Woo! And thank you, Mom, for instilling a love of learning and a good work ethic in me. My mom is a history buff. I know she loves the building that we're in tonight. She's totally into history and architecture, and I'm exactly like her. So thank you for that love that you've instilled in me, as I said. I've also had many great women bosses who've placed their trust in me to serve under their leadership. And those women include, but are not limited to, Carla Matero, who is also here tonight, formerly of the mayor's office and now of a great organization called Honor Bound. Thank you, Carla. You're one of the reasons why I'm in city government now. So thank you for that start. Thank you. Thank you, Carla. I also want to recognize Brigadier General Lori Sutton. She's not here tonight, but she trusted me to serve the great veterans of New York City under her leadership. So I want to recognize General Sutton as well. And then there's another great woman who helped me get my start in the nonprofit industry. I worked in nonprofits before I started in city government. And that's Janice Monger, who worked at the Brooklyn Historical Society. She now runs the Staten Island Museum. And she hired me a very long time ago to be a museum guide. And she gave me my first exposure to fundraising, administration, operations, and it was just great. It set me on a really great path. And so many other women. So thank you to all of them. And of course, last but not least, I have to extend my utmost gratitude to Colonel Holiday, who also doubles as a comedian, if you didn't know. I think you probably figured that out already. And the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce, Mark Jaffe, for your vision and your leadership and this amazing organization and the energy that you've been able to build up in this room tonight. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And Terry, you're an amazing friend, advocate, and leader, so thank you for everything. I also want to recognize Commissioner James Hendon, who's the commissioner of my agency. He's not here with us tonight because he's out serving our country. He's actually on his way to Fort Knox right now because he is a colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve. So I am so grateful to him for his leadership and for trusting me to be a leader within his agency. Also want to recognize my amazing husband, who always has my back through thick and thin, no matter how late I'm banging away on that laptop keyboard. I'm looking at me when I'm praised, but he always has my back, so thank you, Evan. And finally, I want to thank all of my DBS and city government colleagues who came out to support me tonight. There's so many of you here, and that means the world to me. I couldn't thank you enough for your dedication to the work and for your friendship. So Glenda, Emily, Ellen, Jason, Chuck, Christina, I think I got all of you. Ellen, yes, and Ellen, right? Okay. Well, thank you for being here tonight and for celebrating all of these women. Thank you again. I'm gonna go over my fire. Thank you.
I'd like to call back Jane Tillman Irving to introduce our next honoree. I'm sorry. Let me call up Michelle right now from JP Morgan Chase to introduce our next honoree. I want to thank JP Morgan Chase for their generosity in supporting chamber programming and this event tonight. So let's put our hands together for JP Morgan Chase.
Thank you. It is an honor to be here with all of you. Congratulations to all of those being honored. And it's my honor to introduce my dear friend, Joy, Jamoke Fagbayi Butts, who we work hand in hand every day to support diverse-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. And Joy's heart is in it 100% in everything she does. She's been an advocate, a strategist, collaborator, mentor, innovator, and she gives all that she has, not just in the role, but just in that she takes genuine interest, concern, care to everyone that she meets. And she's always thinking of who you should know, and what about this, or what about that? How can I use not just the financial resources of the firm, and that's very helpful, but just being creative and using her true passions in life outside of just the knowledge that she shares to make everyone's life better. As those she mentors, which now is over a decade, it's been in the thousands of business owners that she's helped, as my dear friend and everyone that she collaborates with at JP Morgan. She's on the Small Business Administration Development Center board, Seton Hall University Customer Experience Program, speaker, panelist, mentor, and leads worship at her local church community, practices martial arts with her beautiful husband, and just so, Joy, I want to bring you up.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So a year ago, I had the privilege of meeting this amazing chamber and this amazing team. And to be here, full circle, I never would have expected this. Ever would have expected this. But I'm so honored. So honored. It's a privilege to work alongside Mark, to work alongside Helena, to work alongside all of you as we really make a difference and a change in our community. And I am blown away as I was listening to you women. I'm just like, wow, and I'm up here with you guys. It's amazing because, you don't really think about it, right? You have a task, you have a passion, and you put your head down and you go to work. That's just what it is that we do. And it's funny because you don't necessarily always think that somebody is looking at what it is that you're doing. But somebody is always looking, right? And you don't do it for the accolades, you don't do it for the award, but you do it because it's the right thing to do. And so again, I'm truly, truly blown away by the fact that you guys are honoring me today. Thank you so very much. And I know we got tons of work to do, more and more work to do. But I would be remiss if I do not just say again another thank you because to my JP Morgan Chase team, right? Because it really takes a community, it takes many people working together because it's not a one woman, one man, one person show by any stretch of the imagination. So Michelle, as you've met and she introduced me, Noreen is here, Quincy, Giovanna, and actually it's so great, one of the businesses that I've had the pleasure of mentoring, she's actually here in the room as well. She has an amazing business, her name is Katie Ann. So I'm just so thankful to all of you for coming out and just sharing this with me. And I'm excited to see who is going to be honored next year. It might be, one of you all, right? Because we're watching, we're looking. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, Mark. So thank you all so much.
How about the JP Morgan team? Please come up.
Thank you, Dad.
As they say at JP Morgan Chase, this is the money shot.
Show me the cheese.
Let's look at that.
1 minute, 1 minute.
Is April still in the house?
Hello?
April, I got a special assignment for you. Right, Craig?
Hold on. Thank you.
Okay. So, you may have heard me say earlier, we like to use this building. It's located conveniently. It's beautiful. It's historic. If you watch the movies, you probably recognize some of the scenes shot in here. John Wick did several movies in here and a lot of television. But we appreciate, again, Colonel Terry Holliday's service not only to the Chamber and our country, but also to this beautiful General Society, which has been here longer than any of us. Federally, state, and city landmark. So I'd like to call up April to introduce our next honoree, Dr. Billy Gastick Rosado from LaGuardia Community College, if she's still here. April, here she comes. Now, why am I calling up April? Because she's a good friend of the Chamber family, and she attended LaGuardia Community College. And LaGuardia is very important to the fabric of the city, our state. It's affordable education. It has great placement rates. People are getting jobs out of there. They're not going into huge amounts of debt. And they're also big supporters of the Chamber. I believe 10,000 small businesses is run out of there. It's a great institution, but this young lady went there and worked there. So April, could you introduce our next honoree?
Sure. Thank you for that surprise, Mark. That was appreciated. So as Mark said, my name is April Cardena. I am a graduate of LaGuardia. I was also recruited there. I also am a graduate of NYU, which is where Dr. Billy Gastick Rosado was also one of our administrative leaders, and that's where we met. Billy is one of those people that you meet and instantly fall in love with. She's one of those people that gives opportunities to those that don't have it, can't imagine it. She is passionate about giving second opportunities to parents that have children and could never go back to school. She gives opportunities to students who, due to financial constraints, dropped out of college. She gives opportunities to people who were formerly incarcerated. She gives opportunities for people who are first generation or immigrants to this country and never thought they could go to university or college. That's the kind of person that Billy is. I watched her lead NYU when I was there, and she now serves as the provost at LaGuardia Community College, where I got my second opportunity at education. People like her make this world go round, and people like her give us the opportunity to get an education, to become leaders in transportation, to become leaders on Broadway, to become leaders for our servicemen and women. She is a visionary. She is a first generation Queens native who now leads the way for many of us. So Billy, thank you for being here. Thank you for leading us. Thank you for showing us that it's possible. Congratulations.
So with tears in my eyes, I'll try to just share my gratitude for this moment, for this recognition, for women like April, who are leaders in their own right, who are paving the way for others. The work I do at LaGuardia, and I've worked at many different higher ed institutions, the work I do at LaGuardia is the most important work I've done in my career. To be a part of the City University of New York at this time in our city is such an incredible privilege and responsibility, because each one of the students who walks through that door is accepting the promise of a brighter future, a future where they get to make their own way in the city and contribute to our success and just the excitement of what we know the city to be and what we will we are discovering about in terms of its possibilities. Our students, 99% of them are earning some kind of financial aid. We are a Hispanic serving institution, a minority serving institution. Our students come from 100 or more countries in addition to the borough of Queens. When I was a high school student, I took classes at LaGuardia. The community in LaGuardia Community College is something we take very seriously, as do I. And so with this recognition, I want to thank the Chamber. It's also a recognition of how hard our students are working, our young people are working, our career changers are working to make a new path for themselves, and I'm inspired by them every day. And I just want to thank all of the people who, whether they knew it or not, put me in this position to be able to do this work and have such an impact. This is my greatest joy, and so this just is the cherry on top. So thank you all very much.
And right after this photo, we have our last award, and then we're going to go back to some networking and catered by Kalari and Jane Doe, and we have our two favorite chamber bartenders back there. So I'd like to call up Duvie Honig, my co-host, to introduce, last but not least, the senior advisor for Oath. And when we picked this honor, we realized this had a lot to do with small businesses. So thank you, Duvie, for sharing these great honorees with us.
Thank you, Mark, and I want to congratulate all the honorees. Each one is outstanding. I'm proud to stand here today together with all of you and people who make a difference in the world. This moment, in Hebrew they say, Achron, Achron Chaviv. The last has a special favor, and that's where Rachel Amar stands out. I know her for a few years already. Senior advisor of Oath Commissioner now today, but I know her before that position, always seeing how she can make a difference in New York City, in the mayor's office, and community affairs, and helping individuals. Her department focuses on the courts, businesses who are going to court, and give her a moment just to explain to everyone. Many people don't know exactly about Oath, but me and Mark felt this was something that's important for our businesses to know, and at the same time to recognize those behind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Duvie. Can everyone hear me? Okay, so I'm going to start off with my thank yous. I don't have prepared remarks, but I can definitely wing it. I want to start off by thanking my fellow honorees. Each of you are amazing. And like the judge, I also had to keep Passover rules and clean, but I managed somehow. And my husband is also here, so thank you, Andrew Schimler, for coming. I also want to thank Duvie for this honor, and I want to thank the Orthodox Jewish Chamber of Commerce. And I agree with Duvie's reflection on the mission of the Orthodox Jewish Chamber. It's the best way to include all Jews, so thank you. I want to thank Mark and Helena from the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce. Before I returned to my current position in government, I worked in the private sector, and I was fortunate to work for a Fortune 200 company. So I worked in a place where I had access to unbelievable amounts of resources. And when I came into government, I learned really quickly that it's not as easy as the private sector at all. And you have not only limited budgets, but limited resources. So I gained a lot of respect for the small businesses of this city, which are truly a backbone of our city. And I want to take a moment to just give a round of applause for anyone here that does own a small business and for what you do every day for the city. And that needs a segue to thank my friend Dolly Williams, who's the former city planning commissioner and also a small business owner in her right, for coming this evening. And I'm gonna take a page out of Joan McDonald's speech and acknowledge all of my friends here in government that I see. Whether they came from me or not, I'm still acknowledging them. So my friends over at SBS, Michael Fong and Meredith Weber, thank you. I see Laura Imperiali, who worked for a long time with the city and is now working at Public Works in Long Island. Thank you. And Ellen Greeley, who's with DVS. A little side note, I do have a father who's former Israeli military and a brother who is active Air Force military. So he helps with intelligence. I have no idea what he does outside of that, but he does help protect us. And he's high ranking. And I want to thank Moshe Davis from the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit for all the work that he does. He also helps small businesses. And while I'm getting to my thank you list, because of course I don't want to leave anyone out, I do want to mention that I do work for the city's administrative tribunal called Oath. For most of you who have never gotten a summons from the city of New York, you don't really need to know about Oath, and hopefully it will stay that way. But for those of you who do run businesses and deal with our sometimes overly aggressive enforcement agencies, you do unfortunately deal with summonses, and some of those are not just. And Oath is the court that you can come to get justice for an unjust summons. So every day I make contact with the business and I do everything possible except for fix tickets. I welcome you to contact me if you do have questions about summonses. I do want to thank my coworkers from Oath and our commissioner who's at an iftar tonight, so he couldn't be here. And I do want to thank my friends who made it out tonight really briefly: Sarah, Maria, Gil, Julie, Orly, Professor Ephraim Isaac, who I know, if he can just wave, I'm going to make a quick statement about him. He's a Harvard professor and also mentor of mine, and he recently won an award from Harvard for being a change maker for peace work he's done in Ethiopia. And this segues into the other thing that I've done in my career, which is co-found an NGO in Morocco, of all places, on a State Department trip. So that's just one of the things I did in between government jobs. I think it was like a week and I started. But one of the purposes of the NGO is to help women in Morocco. So I think on that note, I've acknowledged everyone except for Andrea Dawes, who's also in the audience. And if there's somebody here that came on my behalf, I'm sorry that I didn't acknowledge you, but I'm saying thank you for being here. I'm saying thank you to everyone else for being here. And on that note, I'm done with my remarks.
Before you give your remarks, I want to thank Frank Campbell Funeral Home has a lovely bag for all our honorees. And I'm telling you, this is some swag.
And while they're taking pictures, we just like to thank our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we cannot put on a great event like this. So Unleash Web3, we have Picture This photo books. Karen, raise your hand. Rebel Designs, they have a table there with magnificent jewelry. So take a look, it is just gorgeous. We have Passera Fine Art Portraits. We have Mother's Day, we have Father's Day, we have a lot of corporate events. Take a look at what they're beautiful portraits. And we have the Lero Group in the back. Raise your hand, the Lero Group. So we really appreciate everyone that is a supporter. Again, JP Morgan Chase. And then we also have VIPs. We have Terry Holliday, who is here, Leon Jones from Legal Shield, Spencer Lane Jones, a freelance journalist. We have Jenga Bookkeeping. Are they still here? Raise your hand. Hey, if you have any type of tax issue or someone to just, to look over your books, reach out to them. They are very active with the chamber, and they come on to our Zoom networking. You can do a one-on-one with them. So, and again, thank you, Frankie Campbell Funeral Chapel, for their beautiful gifts, and we thank everyone for attending. Thank you, everyone, for this great evening.
So with that, let's get back to our networking, and let me quickly say thank you, Helena. That this Women's History Month, Women's History Day, Women's History Year. The woman runs the Chamber of Commerce, so let's put our hands together for Helena Nat.
And then I would be remiss for me to recognize my staff, because without my staff, I couldn't do anything. Barbara Banks in the back, raise your hand. Thank you so much, Barbara. We got Jordan Jaffe, who does our international documentation. We appreciate her work. Nancy, Nancy is also in the back, and everyone that supports the chamber. We can't do it without you. So thank you so much for being a member and your support.